Hello everyone, Miran Faris from Care Law Group. I'm an immigration attorney here in San Diego, California, assisting clients across the 50 states and worldwide. Immigration is federal law, so we can assist clients wherever you are. I'm very excited to share these messages with you. I'm very passionate about doing immigration myself, and this is more than a job for me. This is what I live for. So today I wanted to clarify on a subject we discussed a few weeks ago called the 90-day rule. The 90-day rule really means that if a person comes into US with a single intent visa, a non-immigrant visa from outside US, you get a single intent visa, such as a visitor visa or an F1 visa, to come for one specific purpose in US. And within the first 90 days of your arrival in US, you engage in immigrant activities or attempt to adjust your status to an immigrant. There is a presumption, there is an assumption that maybe you had this intent to change your status inside US all along, and maybe you misrepresented yourself at the time of your interview. If that's the case, there's severe consequences for that. So the rule basically is that if you attempt to adjust your status after 90 days of being in US, USCIS or the government assumes there's possibility that people change their mind, things happen. The presumption is less. It doesn't mean USCIS is not entitled to ask you questions. It doesn't mean USCIS officer looking at the totality of circumstances does not find that you still did something wrong. There is no hard and fast rule to say, okay, I'm going to wait 90 days and everything is good. No, everything is still the same. The officer is allowed to look at everything, consider all factors. So people ask me, where do you get this 90-day rule from? And the answer is, US laws obviously come from different sources. So immigration laws are primarily acts of Congress. US Congress has enacted laws that are the primary source of immigration, basically directives. US Supreme Court decisions, acting presidents can have directives, acting DHS presidents, Department of Homeland Security presidents, they can have their own guidelines within the structure of existing law. They cannot make new law, but they can redefine things as needed. So the 90-day rule really is a directive rule from the State Department from, I think, around 2017. And the source of this law that State Department used was Immigration and Naturalization Act 212A6CI. Basically, State Department directed its employees, consular officers, embassy officers, to have this 90-day window view in the back of their mind to assess whether a person asking for a visa, asking for a US visa to come to US, outside US, has really the intent of what they're telling the officer, or they have a different intent. This was in the Foreign Affairs Manual at 9 FAM 302.9-4B3 that enumerated the following items. It basically was saying the State Department is telling its employees, these are the things that a single intent person asking for a visa cannot do inside US. What are those things? Working without authorization, okay? Enrolling in a school without having proper visa. Marrying a citizen or a resident, taking up residence in US when you're on B or F status, undertaking any other activity for which change of adjustment of status would be required. So these are activities you're not supposed to take in US within the 90 days. So this is not a hard and fast rule. It's a guideline, it's a directive for the officer of an embassy to see, is this person intending to do any of these things but asking for something else? Basically trying to detect misrepresentation. How did USCIS come about to basically use this rule? This was, I think, around 2018. USCIS updated Chapter 3 of Volume 8, Part J of the Policy Manual on, May 15, 2018. And they basically adopted this 90-day rule to assess whether somebody inside the US who came into US with a single intent visa, with a visa for a different purpose than being an immigrant, and requested to change his or her status within the first 90 days, misrepresented what they told the officer outside US. If this is too technical, you can always contact me, and I'll try my best to explain this in a way that's pertinent to your case. Basically, you get a visa from outside US. It's a single intent visa. You come to US, things change or whatever, you're trying to adjust your status. You may want to take some time, think about it. Obviously, talk to an attorney. Every case is different, and this is not a legal advice to you. This is broad, general stuff. So I'm not just this law and this rule can be implemented differently. Everybody's situation is different. With that in mind, USCIS adopted this in 2018, but they abandoned this rule in December of 2021. Instead, they said, you know what, this is too, there's maybe subject to abuse. We're going to use a reasonable test standard. So the officer is looking at the reasonableness of the scenario. So it is possible that you come into US 10 days into your stay inside the US, you adjust your status or you ask for adjustment of status, and the officer finds at the time of your interview, this was proper. You didn't have this intent to misrepresent. Maybe you do this 5 months or 8 months after arrival, obviously past 90 days, and the officer finds you were still trying to trick the system. These are possibilities. What we're talking about is presumption. Within 90 days of arrival, asking to change your status to an immigrant status raises flags. Did you have this all along in mind and you said something else to the officer just to get into US? This is kind of the question that's in the officer's mind. Or if it's past 90 days, the assumption is maybe you didn't, things change, 90 days is enough time for things to change. So I wanted to clarify this and also outline the code and the rule and where this rule is coming from. The idea behind it is misrepresentation, whether or not you stated your intent correctly or not. With that in mind, this concludes this clarification of the past video. If you guys have any questions, contact me. Immigration is complicated. Every case is different, and we'll assess your case on a case-by-case basis. Have a great day, and if you like the video, please like and share it with your friends. Talk to you soon.